I told my morbidly obese patient that we need a team of people to roll her so that we don't hurt our backs. I'm a nurse at a regional hospital, and I've seen pretty much everything in my 12 years here, but nothing prepared me for what happened with Mrs. Campbell last month. She came in through the ER weighing close to 600 pounds with severe breathing problems. The paramedics needed 8 people just to get her from the ambulance to the bed. When she got to my floor, the first thing I noticed was how sweet she was. She kept apologizing for being there, saying she was sorry for causing trouble. Her daughter sat next to her crying, and Mrs. Campbell kept telling her it wasn't her fault. It broke my heart because you could see this woman was genuinely kind, just trapped in a body that had gotten out of control. The problem started on day 3 when we needed to turn her to prevent bed sores. I gathered my usual team of 3 nurses, but when we tried to roll her, Jenny nearly threw out her back. We had to call for more people. That's when I said what I said about needing a team to roll her. I thought Mrs. Campbell was sleeping, but she heard everything. She didn't say anything right then, but I saw her face change. Her daughter noticed too and asked what was wrong. Mrs. Campbell just shook her head and said she was fine, but the light in her eyes dimmed. For the rest of my shift, she barely spoke and wouldn't make eye contact with any of us. The next morning, I came in to find her bed empty. My heart sank thinking the worst had happened, but the day nurse told me she'd been discharged. Her daughter had insisted on taking her home against medical advice. When I checked the chart, there was a note that said the family felt the care environment wasn't supportive. I felt terrible, but there wasn't anything I could do about it at that point. Mrs. Campbell was gone, and I figured I'd never see her again. That was my mistake. 3 weeks later, she came back, but this time was different. She walked through those doors on her own 2 feet, wearing regular clothes instead of a hospital gown. She'd lost maybe 40 pounds, which doesn't sound like much, but on her frame it was noticeable. She asked to speak with me specifically. When I got to the visitor area, she was sitting there with her daughter, who was beaming. Mrs. Campbell looked me straight in the eye and said she wanted to thank me. I was confused because I figured she hated me for what I'd said, but then she explained that hearing me talk about needing a team to move her was the wake-up call she needed. She told me that night she lay in bed thinking about how she'd become someone who required multiple people just to turn over. She said it wasn't anger she felt toward me, but shame about what she'd done to herself. When her daughter brought her home, instead of giving up, she decided to fight. She'd started with a nutritionist who specialized in extreme weight loss cases. Then she got a physical therapist who came to her house. She showed me pictures on her phone of her walking to the mailbox, which she hadn't done in 3 years. Her daughter was crying happy tears as she talked about her mom cooking real meals again instead of ordering takeout every night. But here's the part that really got me. Mrs. Campbell said she wanted to come back in 6 months to show the nurses who had to lift her how much progress she'd made. She wanted us to see that our hard work hadn't been wasted on someone who didn't care. She made me promise to tell Jenny and the other nurses that she was grateful we took care of her, even when it was physically difficult. I walked her to the elevator when she left, and she moved so much easier than before. Her daughter hugged me and whispered that her mom talked about that day all the time, not because it hurt her feelings, but because it motivated her to change. She said hearing the truth about her condition from someone who cared enough to still do the job was what finally broke through to her. 6 months later, Mrs. Campbell kept her promise. She walked into our unit wearing a dress I'd never seen before, probably 2 sizes smaller than when she left. She'd lost over 100 pounds. The whole nursing staff gathered around as she showed us before and after photos. Jenny actually teared up and apologized for what I'd said, but Mrs. Campbell stopped her. She said that day taught her the difference between cruelty and honesty delivered with care. She could tell we weren't making fun of her or trying to hurt her. We were just stating the reality of the situation while still doing our jobs with compassion. She said that's what made her want to change instead of just feeling sorry for herself. Mrs. Campbell hugged each of us before she left. She told me she was down 180 pounds total and planned to lose more. Her daughter said she was off most of her medications and could climb stairs again.